от сигарет кружится. Катези споры, тонкий английский лед, под ним кипящее море. Рюмка на полпальца, где-то усталая печень, но он опять рвется в зал, как будто последняя встреча. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Где-то в Багдаде жара тонет в сарказме и прозе. Он пишет, как режет ножом по мифам на белой бумаге. В студиях, в старых барах, в маленьких залах кампусов он ставит под роспись богов и веру сдает под авансом. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Тело слабее, голос сипит, но шутка выходит точнее. Он поднимает стакан и говорит: поверим, кого соберет скорее. Публика держит дыхание, он не дает ей надежд, только упрямая да к сомнению и пути. Исследуй смерть, жестокое разума обжигает, но будет спящий каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал.
Well, as you can see from the title, we've got some demons out there. This is Divided We Stand. And if you're unfamiliar with this page and this show, please head on out to our YouTube channel, Divided We Stand, and become a subscriber. We are not a monetized channel, which means you will not see any advertisements at all. And it means we're not trying to grab any money from your pocket. So yeah, so that will perhaps entice you to join our team. And we are also on Facebook, so we ask that you become a member of our Facebook page. We do not allow Trumpers, so I'm getting attacked right now. We don't allow Trumpers, and that's okay, and I think you'll all agree. So we ask that you become a member of Divided We Stand. That's all we ask. Dave and I put a lot of work into this, and we're trying to commiserate with everybody, get everybody together, and let's fight the good fight, even if we lose or not. Ow. So anyway, Dave, our Dave Price, former journalist,
hey,
podcaster, educator, just pretty much everything, musician, comedian at times, and
well, speaking
good friend.
of that, a couple of things. First of all, you said advertisement. Are you now speaking British English?
No, my dog was, all of a sudden, he usually gets tired at this moment. He really does at 7:30, but for some reason tonight, he's mad that I took his toy away, And
Well,
now
give him
he's
his toy.
Well, he will rip it up. Okay, I'll give him his toy. And if he rips it up, it's your fault.
I've got a suggestion for you. I know you're not going to like it, but I understand that there is a government official right now who is the number one best dog trainer in America, and that would be Christy Nome. Why don't you let Christy?
Yeah,
come
she
in?
just shoots them.
Well,
Bitch.
you know,
So, what do you
all
think
right.
about Tulsi Gabbard? You're not surprised, are you?
Tell me about Tulsi. What are you talking about
Well,
here?
Tulsi is a liar. Tulsi works for Trump. Tulsi does anything to get Tulsi's name out there and to move up, like any of them. And
So, what did she do that got you
well,
on
nothing much. It's just that she's part of this gang of bastards who will talk the talk for Trump. And oh my God, Jesus Christ, Fred! See, it's Dave's fault, folks, because now he's chewing this good toy, but it has a heartbeat.
Let him chew the toy.
Yeah, well, there's an electrical thing in here.
All right. There's an electrical thing in the toy.
Yeah, it has like a heartbeat, so it makes it beats.
Okay. That was smart.
Well, it is in the sense that he goes
How
to
is it
sleep.
smart?
Because it helps him if, like, we're away, which we're not when we're with him, because he has separation anxiety. He gets more. Let me grab him. Let me just. There you go. Get over here. You can show yourself to all the fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're watching is a man who has no ability to focus on anything, trying to focus on more than one thing. And since he can't focus on any single thing, this should be interesting. I want you to watch, and I want you to take count of the number of minutes he's occupied by the dog, Frederick, and the number of times he makes a cogent remark. Now, before you get too upset, it is rare that he makes a cogent remark anyway. But I can see that right now, he gave a killer toy to his dog. He's already admitted that. He says it helps him sleep. Okay, and I just don't know. I don't know. He rejected the offer of Christy Nome coming to take care of the dog. I don't know what she meant. I mean, I said she would do a good job. I don't know anything about her. All right, let's get back to your.
All right, well, back. Okay, so let's just put it this way. She's working with the FBI, Tulsi Gabbard, and they're doing a fucking reinvestigation of the Georgia, ballots with, Sidney Powell and the rest of them. We already know that it was a fair election down there, and she's playing this goddamn game. She knows goddamn well what's going on.
Okay. So what? Let me ask you this, Brian.
Okay.
What's that going to accomplish?
Well, for Trump, a lot, because she'll
Where?
be his. She'll say that it was unfair. By the way, they stole the ballots. You know that. So.
Well, what I'm saying is, look, Trump's people talk a lot. Trump talks a lot.
Right.
It gets people upset, understandably so. But really, the election has been decided.
But why is he going back to 2000? It just means.
Because why are you asking why about Donald Trump? There is no why. Because Donald Trump got up in the morning or before he went to bed at night, or if he indeed is taking Adderall or some other substance while he was speeding, while he was in dementia, while he was in senility. There's now a report out, I don't believe it, but I like to report every once in a while something I don't believe, that he has actually suffered from the damage done by a syphilis condition. No, it's Brian, he just does things. He just does things, okay? Name one, and the thing is, name one thing he's followed through on.
Well, I just can't believe that he still can't take. I mean, first of all, he knows. At least I would think he knows because he is a criminal. He does know that he lost that election. Okay, he knew ahead of time. But the fact that he wants to undo the truth is what really bothers me. That's what bothers me.
That ship sailed a long time ago, Brian. And
Right.
The way I look at that is Donald Trump is incapable of telling the truth. End of
Absolutely.
story. Now, there were enough people, apparently, if the election of the last election was fair and just, there are enough people in the country that doesn't bother them. And you've said it 1,000 times, or maybe more. Joey's right. Trump's people talk a lot of shit. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
But they're not very good at following through. Or when they do, they're so bad that they end up killing people. Okay? There's no reason for ICE to be doing what it's doing, except there are, and I guarantee you this is not, there are J6ers. I mean, think about this, Brian. You're a very intelligent person. When's the last time you've heard any complaints from the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the 3%, the J6ers?
Complaints about what?
About America.
Zero. Of late, nothing.
Do you know why?
Because this is what they want.
It's what they want. Not only that, yes, you're right. This is what, but also they're ICE. They're in ICE. They are
the secret police for the government. Let's just say it right now.
Yeah, it is. So now, I mean, I'm not. I always say this, like, oh, he's brave. I'm not that. But I think some of those guys. I mean, a bullet's going to stop anybody. But some of them fat fucks, I can outrun them. I mean, they're not.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're
and the jokes are like, go to the library, they can't even find it. I mean, look.
But aren't these, Dave, the people that we knew? Like, if you think of everybody that I know that's a Trumper now, kind of has that heavy look. They're trying to be badasses. They're out of shape, but they're dangerous.
Well, they are, and everybody has to make their own decisions. That's a good place to jump into tonight a little bit. What do you do about the people that you know that are MAGA? What do you do? That's a big question. Okay, and there's no proper answer.
Do not engage. Number one, right?
Well, I would say that
you tried.
No, I was messing with them. I mean, that wasn't it.
Right, but I mean, you still engage with them. Some people say you got to talk with them.
Oh no. You can if you think it works.
You have to have a dialogue, they say.
I'm sure you've had a conversation with somebody. Say, well, my Aunt Margie and Uncle Bill, they're just terrible. We agree not to talk about politics. I mean, but the bottom line is this, as far as I'm concerned. Number one, we are at war. End. Number two, there are three sides in this war. There's Trump, pro-Trumpers, there's anti-Trumpers, and there's people who don't want to be engaged. And every war is like that, okay? So if they're on the other side, I don't see anything any single individual is going to do to bring somebody over to the other side.
Right.
Nobody's going to talk me into supporting Donald Trump, and I'm not going to support anybody. What has to happen is they have to arrive at that, or you have to arrive at it if you're going to go to Trump. The thing that encourages me is I have not seen Donald Trump do one thing, not one thing, to bring anybody to his side. Not one. I've seen a lot of things and heard a lot of things about two groups moving in the other direction. There are now pro-Trumpers, I'll talk a little bit about it later tonight, that are now anti-Trumpers, or at least questioning Trump. And then,
but what you say is true. I mean, he's not gaining any new, constituency. But what he is doing, he is solidifying his control of power. And I think that's more important.
Is he?
Yes. I mean, he's except for the press, and even we saw what happened to Don Lemon yesterday. I think that's a message. And I think that once he gets control of the press, that's it.
It depends, okay? Do you think people thought Adolf Hitler was a pussy?
Well, it depends on when you're talking about it. Like toward the end of the war, he certainly was.
Did they know it?
Not until afterwards.
Correct. But do people know that Donald Trump is a pussy? Anybody with any kind of brain does.
Yes.
And I think the difference is when we make these comparisons, you're dealing. Okay, but
they don't think they think he's a pussy in terms of serving and having not served in the armed forces. But the fact that he's willing to go into fascism and do what they want to do, go against people of color,
let's
upset the cart. That they're giving him strength for.
Okay. Who really are his supporters? categorize them. I mean, you don't get to name them.
White males and white females who are married, and they're probably uneducated, married to these white males. They're usually not college educated, but some are, and that's through legacy. They probably have, the ones who are educated, or through legacy, they're racist through their parents. I don't know. I'm stretching a lot of it, but
No,
generally
you're
it's
not.
white people. It's white people.
Okay,
Okay.
there you are. Now, one of the things that a lot of reporters and the media kind of centered on, how did Trump win? And they felt that he had really grown with the numbers of black supporters who voted for him, and especially Hispanic or Latino people. Okay, and I think there's some truth to that.
Well, a mild percentage change, or
like,
shift
the
of
thing is,
2% more.
Well,
or
that's what I'm
something.
saying. But Brian, that's it. Think about this. If you have one person supporting you, and you get a second, what's your
Right.
percentage increase?
You get 100% if you go from 1 to 2.
Right. And so the smaller number you started with, the easier it is to get. Are you going to go to a nail salon and get that fixed?
I'm playing guitar again, and I got to make sure that. And all of a sudden, I found this. I mean, I don't know. I lay things down, I can't find, and all of a sudden, I see it. I say, I better take advantage.
Are you saying you're ADHD? Is that
Yes,
what you're
I
telling me?
am.
So anyway, so back.
Sorry
to
about that, folks.
No, back to Mr. Trump here. Here we go. So, would you agree that he is incompetent?
Yes,
Would
dangerously
you agree?
incompetent.
No, can't put adjectives to it. Not yet. Would you agree that there's evidence that he is suffering dementia or senility or syphilitic brain?
You know, I just think I just think he's mentally ill. Can we just leave it at that? I don't know what the
That's
illness
fine.
is, but he's got it.
That's fine. Okay. Would you agree that he's not smart?
He's cunning. He has a sense of how to evade.
One
things.
word. Is he smart? In the normal definition.
Well, let's just say this much, because there are different, intelligences. I'll say this: if you say academically smart, I say no. But in terms of smart, because of his success and able to, get 73 million people to vote for him and to believe him, in a certain sense, he is smart.
No, he has con man tendencies. That has
Okay, well, whatever it is, it's what he does links up with that brain.
Who would you fear more? Albert Einstein, if he were Donald Trump, or Donald Trump, just from an intelligence standpoint?
No, obviously, I would fear Einstein.
Correct.
But he's Fuckstein, and that's a problem too.
Well, I'm not.
He's Albert Fuckstein.
I know. But do you think he has admirable traits at all that people would follow him based on him, not what he does, not what he doesn't do, but just based on him? Or
I'd like to say no, but I don't know that that's true.
They don't. Okay. They like the fact that he allows them to do the things that they want.
Or maybe, right, their personality resonates with his. Now, again, we're not psychiatrists, we're not psychologists, but there is something there that,
I think, again, we're talking about all the skills that a con man needs, he possesses. Okay? Except for a couple. And they're the ones we're mentioning now. It doesn't mean he does.
They have to have a gift of gab, of some type of poetry, a web.
What he does is
catch you with.
Look, he speaks to the ignorant. And when I say the ignorant, I don't mean necessarily the stupid. What I'm talking about, ignorant as either not realizing truth, not wanting to know truth, whatever it is. And he does speak a language. Now, since I can remember, since I was little, people have always said, or not all people, many people said, we got to stop this government mess. We got to run government like a business.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying.
That's the last thing you want to do, number one.
Well, but there were people who believed in that shit. They kept saying, we need a businessman.
That was for anybody who's not my age, who's in their 40s or younger, probably not as much. But back, way back.
Yeah, everybody was saying that shit,
And now that's the last thing you want for a few reasons. But government is not a business. Okay, it's just not. And if you're going to take a businessman, I cannot think of a worse businessman in the world today than to take as Donald
Right.
Trump solely as a businessman.
Right.
Now, so how does he get this reputation? It's because of something that you and I've talked about for years. And it's something that I think is coming into its own now, finally, and understanding that once upon a time, there was an aspect of policy to politics. That has been replaced. Politics today, at least in the United States, is about 92.3% pop culture. So
Yes.
people think, okay, people think Trump's a good businessman for two reasons. Two, I think. One is he's got his name on a lot of buildings. Okay. But I would ask anybody to go find those buildings now because most of them are gone because he bankrupted them. 21 businesses he's been involved with. You know how many successes there are? Financial successes?
Aside from the golf course, is zero.
Even the golf courses struggle. Okay. There's nothing the man has done. So how does he overcome it? Because people don't look past that. They see the name, they hear the name. And of course, the only reason Donald Trump was in position to run for president was because we've become a nation that really believes in reality TV.
Hey, by the way, Dave, you noticed that in all of his businesses, they were all private businesses. They never offered stock. You couldn't buy.
Well, because
stock.
nobody in their right mind, no business.
Well, even if they did, he didn't want, at least what I could see, he didn't want anybody to have any control because other people have control, and he likes to cheat.
Well, okay. We'll try this. You would never. I mean, you can't say never, but it would shock me if you ever cheated on Ronnie. You two had a great relationship, and it would shock me. But if you did, you wouldn't bring three people along to show him, right? And that's basically he knows he's corrupt. He knows. So that's part of it. You're right. He doesn't want anybody around him. It's just a couple reasons. There's always a couple of three reasons. So one is he wants total control, and he doesn't care if he runs it into the ground. And two, he knows that he is corrupt. He knows he's corrupt. You cannot. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, you can't do what he's done over the years.
But basically, what you're saying, a liar. Let's just get to this part first. A liar should be aware that the liar is lying. I mean, but not always. But unless he's
you
that
can believe.
sick.
Well, you can believe. I mean,
Well, let's ask you. Do you think he realizes that he's a liar?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we've got to go with two things here. There's really three Donald Trumps, maybe more than that. One Donald Trump that I look at is the Donald Trump prior to running for president. Okay. Now, a couple things. He was younger. He had some associates. He was born a perfect time. He's a kid, young man coming through Studio 54, that lifestyle, the New York is going to come back. Nobody cared about what it meant to New York. It just meant give me some fancy buildings. You cannot. I mean, but even then, of course, he was a liar. Then he had to know how tall the Trump Tower was.
Right.
And he had to know how tall the World Trade Center was. And he had to know how tall the Empire State Building was.
Right.
And when the towers fell, his building was not the biggest.
Right. Well, for him, in his, just my guess, and I can be just speculating here, that if it was, say, in the top 15 as far as height, to him it's close enough to the truth to him to say that.
There you are, Brian. You just hit upon something.
That's the way he does it. He's in the ballpark of being right in his mind.
But he doesn't say that.
Right.
Right, in his mind. And Cool Anthony, Cool Breeze Anthony, to be more formal, comes up with something that is true. A lie repeated has a chance of people believing it, but it also has a chance of making you to believe it as you're lying eventually.
That's the danger.
Now we go back, and this one I'm as sure as I can be without being in the room. So we're going to go back the night he won the first election. Story. I still had enough kind of people in the business to let me know this was true. Donald Trump was stunned. He did not have, think about this, he did not have any prepared acceptance speech. None.
No, do you think he was stunned that he like that first debate that he was going to all of a sudden jump up ahead of all the other candidates in the
That's
premise.
an area that's the area, Brian, that I'm going to leave for
So I
historians.
think he did steamroll through that, and people
Oh
were,
no,
I
there's
mean,
no
you,
question.
all of us, I mean, you probably too. That first debate, it was kind of funny when I first saw him do his
Well,
shit.
of course it was because
Yeah.
we thought, here's something. I'll tell you what I thought. Here's a clown. He can't. And again, those of us in New York and New Jersey had a much better handle on him than any other people in the country because he was in our papers and stuff, and it was pretty funny. Now, I think the media played it off as being humorous, and again, you said it before. I don't know. He does seem to be like sort of the Teflon Don. Nothing sticks to him, sort of thing. And I mean, when it started, I honestly thought Jeb Bush would be the nominee, and he
Right,
just took him
right.
down, took him down, took him
Easily.
down,
Easily.
took him down. And I think
There's your pop culture right there.
there's your pop culture, and also this group that began emerging saw something in him, whether it's the Aryan Nation, the KKK, all that white hate mongers, and this is something that we're going to have to deal with. Young white Americans falsely have a whole false idea of why they're positioned where they are. Okay, and that's only going to get worse. Think about this. Okay, use our town. We use this, ladies and gentlemen, a lot because I spent 59 and a half years there, and Brian's been there a couple decades now. It's one town. So we're from, it's called Bridgeton, New Jersey. It was a one factory town, and the factory shut down, and there's nothing there. Nothing, absolutely nothing there. And that's being replicated across the country. Okay, with factories where men, before World War II, they were all men. Then some women came in after, but where you could go and make a good living. Number one. Number two, send your kids to college. Okay? Those don't exist anymore. The factories don't. Even sometimes, like mechanics now have to deal, with cars. I mean, you're dealing with computer systems. I mean,
Right.
it's a whole different world. And so they can't, they can't say to themselves, Jesus, I didn't pay a bit of attention in school, and the people who got college degrees are ahead of me. They can't say that, right?
Right.
They can't look and they can't say, oh man, the factories are closed. They just say the jobs disappeared. Well, if they disappeared, one of two things happened. One is they're overseas, if they still exist, and that's just sheerly a money-making decision. And then secondly, if they do exist, they're less than the factory work that was there. For example, there's a lot of meat processing plants in the Midwest, and I can't think of any place worse to work than that.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's just, not, I know you have the special animal thing too, but I'm just talking about for smell, from what I've heard. I mean, they're just, so, that's why I always smile a little bit when they say they're taking our jobs. What, you're gonna pick
You're going to work in
produce?
that fucking
You're gonna
slaughterhouse.
work in the hot kitchen. It's just, but they're just angry. The world has cheated them, and Trump comes along and kind of says, yeah, you're right. And so all of a sudden he had this base and was able to take down, what was it, 17, right? Because there were 18 of them in the beginning. I think there were 18 candidates for the GOP, and when it all cleared, it was Trump. And I was amazed, surprised, stunned. Pick your verb, pick your noun, pick your adjective.
Right.
He was bad in the first term. There was no question. But then he lost, and in his mind, I really do believe.
And by the way, the Trumpers thought he did a great job his first term. They thought,
I understand.
they believe, that's a real danger when you believe that shit.
Because if they thought he did a bad job, they wouldn't have voted for him again. So they came out. And I think America had we were just stunned that this buffoon could become president. And secondly, and I know this shouldn't surprise me, but I honestly thought, naive as it is, I thought that when America elected Barack Obama, we might have turned a little bit of a corner, just a little bit.
Right. I can understand that.
What I didn't realize is the election of Barack Obama lit a fire under racists to make it even more so. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have elected Barack Obama, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying It was.
I
That was
think they
so
hated
fun.
his wife more than they hated him.
Well, they hated everything about it. I mean, I,
And the fact that he was
I
successful, they didn't like that either.
well, and he was smart. Okay, and I'm sure you've had this. This intelligence thing is interesting. I've had a lot of people who either are now Trumpers, or I would imagine were Trumpers saying, "Hey, you think you're all that? Use those big words." I don't use big words. I use the words that are my vocabulary. That's all. I don't do that. But see, they hear that. Um, and you were accused of that on election night, if you remember, when we did the live show from New Orleans, and I was with all the Trumpers. And there's
Hmm.
hey, guy, your friend there, man. All he
Right.
said, you were just using words. I mean,
Words.
just using
Just
words.
words.
And so they don't get that. All right, so let's get back to this week. And I'm going to tell you the things that I think are had or are having an impact. You ready? And none of them bode well for Mr. Trump. Let's start on the pop culture side. You got Bruce Springsteen, arguably one of the top 10 artists in America, again, with older people necessarily, but, some young fans. And he comes out with a song, The Streets of Minneapolis. Okay. According to Bruce, and it's probably true, he wrote it on a Saturday, like recorded it on a Sunday and released it on a Monday. So it's sort of similar to when Neil Young released Ohio
Right.
back in the day. And
And that was a hit.
sometimes
Ohio was a
well,
definite hit.
yeah, and it's most everybody knows about it. In fact, I just wrote a three part series on Ohio and the killings in Minneapolis. I mean, it still relates to that. And what it is, Ohio became the song whenever the government kills somebody. That's the song. Okay, so it's back in play. But Springsteen does it. Well, what he did, he just really used the words that were there. I mean, it goes back. It's almost like a Woody Guthrie song. Early Dylan maybe, where it's just he just recounts what happens, but that's good because it keeps every detail in mind. So you got Springsteen. Okay, so you say, well, Trump doesn't care about that. Yes, he does. Okay, because in last week, the Springsteen song, and it's going other, but as of the middle of the week, I haven't looked now, the middle of the or late middle of the week, it was number one in 19 countries. 19. Now, Donald Trump hates Bruce Springsteen. He certainly hates that song is there. And here's the man who says, we're finally respected in the world again. Donnie, I don't think so. 18 countries say you ain't. Because if you were respected, that song would not be number one. Now, what does that do to his psyche? I don't know. They came out, and they talk about projection, and you put on what you think. He attacked Springsteen for his skin and his looks. I thought, man, wow. So we got that.
Well, that's what he does. I mean, he does it.
But equally as good is Melania. Jeff Bezos paid $75 million. Okay, $40 million to procure the rights and set it up, and gave Melanie, I think, 27 or 28 million of it, and then set aside 35 million for publicity. They debut it at the Trump Kennedy Center, and about the only people that went were Republican appointees and that kind of thing. They went. It was shown, and Trump walked the red carpet and all that. But the true measure is when it gets released. It got released Friday, and the projection is that worldwide, it'll bring in $4 to $5 million.
Which is interesting because I just read something. I was eating dinner, and it said that Amazon says their sales are 60% higher than they expect. I think that's bullshit.
It is bullshit, okay? Because you've got what it was. It was a bribe,
Right.
that Jeff Bezos gave to get
Melania says it was something that was accepted because it was, a wonderful documentary that was far above anything that's out there.
Critics are saying it is the worst movie of all time.
Gotta be. She can't even speak English correctly, so that's why.
They said also they said, which is so interesting. They said, not only is it a bad documentary, it's bad film, but they said it's actually a bad infomercial, which is really what it is. And I'm sure Melania was and may still be very good in bed, and she and Donald came up with some kind of arrangement. Okay, And the arrangement was, I fuck you, maybe make baby, but I fuck you, you give me money. Now we'll go back to the election night, or the first election. Again, it's well reported, and I think it's true. She went ballistic that night, basically kind of indicating, not in these words, but I didn't sign on for this. I don't want to be first lady. I signed on to whatever it was she signed on to. So you've got Springsteen hammering on one side, you got Melania letting him down, and there's also reports coming out of the White House that she is livid. And she is livid because this is supposed to be her moment, and Donald messed it up by still messing around in Minneapolis. So that indicates to me that she is blaming Trump for the demise of or the failure of the movie, not herself and the limited. Now, Bezos, he got whatever he wanted out of it. What's that, like me losing $5 or something like that to him? And he did get, it was complete bribery, no question about that. And here's one that
now again, Melania. That's funny because we know that's true, but Melania said in an interview with your favorite Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, that of all the different documentaries that were, presented to Amazon, they thought hers was the best, and then they accepted it.
Well, look, again, my wife Judy and I go through this almost every morning. She says, did you? I said, stop. There's no bottom to them. There's nothing they will say. Yeah, some Melania lies. There's something wrong with Barron. I think there's something wrong. Well, I know what's wrong with Don Jr. He's a coke freak. The one that surprised me, did you see that this weekend? I'm just throwing it out. At this point, who cares whether it's true or not? But there were a lot of allegations that Marco Rubio, when he testified in front of Congress, was coking up. And he was doing this, and drinking a lot of water. I think that's just reaching, but, who knows?
I'm just wondering if any of them do have a conscience and they have to coke up because they can't stand having to lie.
A possibility, sure, a possibility. Like I said, and little Marco there, as Trump described him, I think he went into this with the best reputation of all. It's like being the tallest pygmy. And of course, that's gone now. So now, but you got another thing going on that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Do you know who Nicki Minaj is, Brian?
Only by name.
And what is she? I mean, what do you know about her?
She's a female rapper, as far as I know, or something like that.
That is good. No, you got it. That's all you really need to know.
That's all I know.
And that's all you really need to know, okay, if you're not a rap aficionado. But Nicki Minaj comes out and says and goes to the White House and says she's the biggest Donald Trump supporter in the world. Now, I have no idea why Nicki Minaj did that. I know that others have been associated, other rappers have come across. To me, that would be, I guess, what would it be? It would be an Uncle Thomasina to do that, not an Uncle Tom. Horrible, but she did it. But she's getting a lot of fire. Now, what happens is you have to decide if you're a Nicki Minaj fan. Chances are pretty good you're black. Not all. I mean, she has a very large white following, too. But now you got to make a decision. Do you stay with Nicki because she went with Trump, or do you drop Nicki, and say, I'm dropping her because of Trump. I guess, I can't support that. All right. So you got that going on. Then you got, I would argue, one of the most influential men in America with men under the age of 35, and that would be Joe Rogan. He consistently has the #1 podcast or #2 podcast in the country, depending on the week.
Mm-hmm.
I think he very much helped Trump to win. And he now has decided that the murders are a line too far for him to cross. And he's now claiming that the ICE is exhibiting Gestapo-like behavior. Okay, so now you got another decision to make, right? Do I stay with Trump? Do I go with my boy Joe? What do I do, right? What do I do? Everything's good like that. Then you've got this week, you've got what a title. She was co-chair of Latino Women for Trump. Okay? So she has to be powerful, right? I mean, you don't get that position,
right?
Being just an unknown. And she now, and again, let me say what she said, and I'll follow up on that. She said, but wait a minute, this isn't what we voted for. It is what you voted for. You just didn't know what you were voting for. But if you look at his Latino numbers, they're plummeting. Plummeting. Now, you could ask, why were they there in the first place? It doesn't matter. One of the things that I would advise people to do is just pick it up for the moment. Does that? Let me try to explain what I'm saying. I don't care what Marjorie Taylor Greene's history is. I don't care. I don't care. But if she's now causing problems for Trump, I'm not making her okay. That's the moment, though. And I think that's the same everywhere. Yeah, I shouldn't have voted for it. No, I don't care about that. I care about what you're doing now. And one that I just finished a 5-part series writing about, and that was really fun. It's when I say fun, nothing's fun in this atmosphere, but I did a 5-part series on what it means that there's a return of the Black Panthers. And I will just say this simply. The Black Panthers are the most misunderstood organization in the history of America. They were good. They were good. They were good. And now they're back. And so the Panthers are organizing. Philadelphia is the leading city right now, but they're bringing others. And what they're doing is simply they're providing a service, which is they will go to these rallies and make sure that ICE doesn't run rampant. Now, will there be a shootout? I mean, we don't know, okay? We don't know. So that's just on the pop culture side. And I searched and searched and searched, and there was nothing on the pop culture side that helped Trump this week. There's some other oddities, too. I'd love to know what the NFL was thinking. I support them wholeheartedly. Do you know who Bad Bunny is, Brian?
I know he's very, very popular, and he's going to be at the Super Bowl, correct?
Yeah, right. He's a rapper. He's popular. He does not rap in English. He raps in Spanish. And worldwide right now, he's probably the number one performer. Taylor
Have you
Swift
heard him? But I mean, I think I've seen a video.
Yeah, I've heard.
Can he sing?
Just because he can rap.
I mean, does he actually ever sing? Because some rappers will sing a little bit.
Well, they do, but the thing is, with auto tune and all the stuff out there, it doesn't.
Wouldn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter for whatever reason. He is that popular. Now, the NFL knew a couple things going in. They knew, number one, that Bad Bunny had spoken against Trump before, because he's from Puerto Rico. And remember when Trump went down there and threw the paper towels out? I mean. And so they knew that there was no love lost, and they took him, and they made a business decision because they're trying to expand. Their goal is to make football worldwide. I don't think they can do it. I think soccer's too entrenched, but they can make inroads, and this is the way to make inroads. They also will be singing what is considered now the Black National Anthem, and they've been pressured to stop that. And they said, no, they're still going to do that. And the one, though, that is the most interesting decision as we come in to the Super Bowl is this. They've decided to have Green Day. Do you know who Green Day is, Brian?
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't, they're a really hard alternative rock group that had their album, American Idiot, became so big, it's still playing on Broadway. They wrote a musical about it. And immediately, with MAGA, so this goes back a few years, they changed the words to make it anti-MAGA. So they're definitely out there, just like the Dropkick Murphys and a few other bands. Now, the NFL made the decision to have them be on the pregame show. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, the NFL knows that Trump's done. They wouldn't do that if they thought Trump had enough power. They wouldn't. Another indication. Now, again, I know what you or anyone said. He's still in the presidency and he's still a danger. I got that. And he may be more of a danger because they talk about, the trapped rat and this kind of thing, and he goes out. Now, the other side, you could go to the government and look, and a number of Republicans came out against him, maybe not, we say not hundreds of numbers, but the one that was probably the most, what word I'm looking for here? The most telling was Tom Tillis, He's a Republican from North Carolina. You know, kind of one of the top 15 senators, you know, in there. And he comes out and says basically, you either fire Kristi Noem or we're going to impeach her. And we have the votes. Now, you know, Trump doesn't take kindly to that, being told, but he knows that he has to do something. He took Bovino, you know, the little guy, and they farmed him out, and he's retired. He's retired now. But you know what people don't know that they did? They took away, when I say, I mean, they can do this, not officially. He killed all social media accounts. So that had to be part of a deal. You know, maybe they gave him an extra $1 million, who knows, but whatever. So he's voiceless now. But Kristi Noem is the face. Now, Kristi Noem used to be a really good-looking woman, but now she's MAGA-fied. But she decided to go with this defense. And you see it, she did it 3 times this week. All I can tell you is every time I acted on the orders of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. So she's using the, you know, I was just following orders. Now, she has a little bit of a problem, too, because she's having a long-running affair with Corey Ladowski, who's her aide, who they actually hired so she could have him around as her boy toy. I don't know what their relationship is. I shouldn't say that. But I mean, I know what their relationship is. And it's one of the least, you know, least best-kept secrets in D.C. And Ladowski was formerly, you know, say so with Trump, they had a falling out. And so those two could be on the chopping block, which is good. Okay. Good for the standpoint that Kristi Noem has no business in government whatsoever. And she's graduated from dog killer to human killer. You know, just a horrible, horrible person, and no question. Sold her soul for whatever it is that she sold it for. But again, then you know, you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene floating out there, still saying some things.
She was on Bill Maher last night. I didn't see the show. Yeah. I did see the overtime on YouTube, but that's what.
Well, and I mean, you could, like, again, okay, not a good person, certainly not smart if she thinks Jewish space lasers are out there attacking us. But right now, she's serving her purpose, and it's good for us. You also have Lisa Murkowski. Now, Lisa Murkowski is sort of like the Collins from Maine. You know, they vote this way, they vote that way, they vote this way. I mean, they're kind of this, that, and the other. But she, again, is calling for Kristi Noem's either resignation or firing, or she, too, will back impeachment. Why that's encouraging, Brian, is this. Murkowski wants to run again in Alaska. And they've got a couple good Democrats up there thinking about running. Right. And so she has to really speak for her state. So the good thing is, if Alaska were in the Trump column, right, it's not right now. And it's not going to get back in there because she wouldn't be doing what she's doing if she thought supporting Trump would lead to her election. I mean, you got some other things that are encouraging this week. The protests continue to grow. And don't ever underestimate the importance of those protests. Look at those crowds. They're big, Brian. They're big. And they're big. Of course, Minneapolis is going to be big. It's right there. But they're going out. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and also played with Springsteen. He put on a concert out there, was sold out in a matter of minutes. He's out there attacking. But what he did was so cool. He joined the protesters after. So, you know, the protest movement is growing. Mm-hmm. Is it where it should be? That's open to debate. But it's there and it's not going away, Annie. And with every murder or with every mishandled, we get more. But I think the biggest news to me was this today. And I know it's a Democratic judge. I understand that. Hold on here. I want to call it up so I don't misrepresent it. All right. So today, and I usually don't read, but I am going to read a little bit of this. So there's a judge who ruled on the case of Liam Ramos. Do you know who Liam Ramos is?
Is that the 5-year-old child?
Gotcha. You're right on the
Okay.
money. Okay. Of all the things that I've seen outside of the murders, this was one of the most disturbing. To take a 5-year-old and send him to a concentration camp. And the stories have been going on like, well, what do you think? He's depressed. He wants to get home. So his father, he was sick, couldn't get medicine. So his father files a legal representative, and a judge, Fred Beery, Biery. Now he's appointed by Clinton, so he's a Democrat. But here's what he did: he ordered his immediate release. Now, if Trump doesn't follow through, or somebody doesn't follow through, you're talking about a 5-year-old now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whole different world. Whole different world. You're not talking about somebody you can portray as a narco terrorist. And I want to just read a few of the things that he said in his issue. The case has its genesis in the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children. Apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson enumerated grievances against a would-be authoritarian king over our nation, among others were, and he cited 4 in particular. Listen and see how they strike us now. This was Thomas Jefferson writing, accusing King George why America should separate from England. 1, he has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. Trump does that. He has excited domestic insurrection among us. Trump does that. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. Trump is doing that. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. We, the people, this is a judge still speaking, are hearing echoes of that history. But he didn't stop there. Here's what he said at the end. Civics lesson to the government. When he speaks to the government, he's speaking to Donald Trump. Administrative warrants issued by the executive branch to itself do not pass probable cause muster. That is called the fox guarding the henhouse. The Constitution requires an independent judicial officer. Accordingly, the court finds that the Constitution of these United States trumps, and that word, I'm sure he chose deliberately, trumps this administration's detention of petitioner and his minor son. And he ended it by saying, I do this this is one of the great lines, I think this will go into history, with a judicial finger in the constitutional dike. So it is ordered. Basically, that's all the grounds you need. I know we don't need more, right? Mm-hmm. But that is legal grounds for impeachment that has been established. Now,
and who is going to do it, though?
The moment when enough Republicans realize that sticking with Trump is going to end their career.
But they know that, well.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Mm-mm. No, they don't.
All right, I'll give you that. Right now, they don't feel threatened enough.
They don't. Or, as you've pointed out, Brian, too, part of this may be they fear for their lives.
I think they do.
Yeah. But, again, there comes a point.
But they have to have they have to, at least their conscience, even if they're evil, they have to at least know that it's on their mind. Like, this is wrong.
And that's the thing. Look, and it's hard, Brian. It's hard. Whether you're good, evil, old, young, it's hard to say, I fucked up. It is, okay? Let's face it. And they fucked up. They thought they went with the winner, and he ain't a winner in the long run. Also, you have to remember out there, Vance is not a good vice president for Trump. Because he's Peter Thiel's boy. So yes, I hollered at you when we started laughing. I said, negative Nelly, negative Nancy,
right.
Negative Nabob. A nattering Nabob. What was it, Spiro Agnew said? A nattering Nabob.
Negativity or negativity.
Yeah, negativity. So look, here's the thing. I'll come back to where I started. We're in a war. In a war, you got 3 choices. You're on one side, you're on the other side, or you sit it out. They're your only choices. I would say to the people sitting it out is, it's not going to work. It's not. You are affected by politics, and politics is run by pop culture, and it's overwhelming you. So you
It
better
now
pick
is run by pop culture, yes.
yeah, you better pick a side. Okay, I can't force you to do it, but I'm just saying, if you naively think that America is going to go on tra-la-la-la-la. Number two, currently we are a fascist country. That is clear.
Yes.
No,
And I think we ought to repeat that so people understand that we
yeah,
mean that. This
I do.
is a fascist country now.
And what I know about fascism is that it doesn't end itself. It has to be ended. Now, you and I had this discussion earlier this week. One of the things that makes it strange here is the fact that America has never been in this position. Now, why do I say that? It was in this position when it was formed, right? It was in this position Civil War. But, you know, it's much different now. Social media has made everything different. And while I use AI every single day in projects, I see both the tremendous benefits, but there's tremendous dangers out there too. Okay. Again, with the world of work. If Trumpers have to ask themselves a question right now too, this is something important. You know, am I better off than I was a year ago? Whatever you want to look at. And then if they are, okay, but I only think the rich are. And if they're not, does my hatred mean so much to me that I'm willing to spend, you know, all this money on food and the other thing? And we don't know how it'll turn out. The other thing you and I have talked about, I feel one way, I think, and I think it comes from our background. You're an expert on Russia, and no question. This is in a playbook of Russia right now. We're in a playbook of Russia. My only thing that I would argue about is America has a long history of supposed democracy. You know, and it was. I mean, we were, you know, you're codified, you know, even though I wasn't happy with the way democracy was running, it was still a democracy. I don't know of a nation in the world that has had 250 years of democracy and then turned. And it did turn, but what does that mean for the staying power? Another thing, another question we have to answer, and we won't know, is it Trump, or could somebody come in and just keep Trump's policies and keep the power?
Right.
I'm kind of leaning toward it's kind of a Trump-led cult. But, you know, because I think Vance, you know, everybody else can be attacked. Donald Trump is a god for these people. He really is. And when the god dies, you know, who's going to be anointed? Ain't going to be his son Donnie. Ain't going to be his daughter. Vance, you can attack his character all day. I mean, as he's not Donald Trump. Who do the oligarchs want? And then the last thing of all is, but even if we win, and who knows if we will, we got a long road to even get back to where we were.
Certainly do.
And we better change. And we better change things, ladies and gentlemen, so it never happens again.
Yes, indeed. That's a great way to end this. Absolutely. And we're going to have to see who fights. I mean, in the end, and I feel, I don't want to go into different subjects, you know, but I do at least mention, it kind of bothers me what's going on in Iran. You know, we have the people protesting there and getting killed, and you know, Trump saying he's going to do something, he hasn't done anything yet. Nobody's really defending them. You know, they're really trying, and they're fighting, you know, theocracy right now. You know, we're fighting fascism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they all kind of smell the same in the end. But you know, we have to look and see, you know, what happens in these other places, in parts of the world where people do. You have to fight, and some of you are going to lose your lives over this. If it's you, you don't feel that it's worth it, then understand that.
And you know, I don't mean to cut you off, and I just
okay.
But no, just saying one of the things that I think we all have to agree on is you don't attack anyone for how they fight. And what I mean by that is on our side, if you, I'll use myself for an example. I have 2 grandchildren whom I love more than any other 2 people on the face of the earth. And if I really believed that I wanted to stay and not put myself in danger, right? I could understand that. I look at it the other way. They have no America. I don't want them to have this America.
No.
But that's me. So I would not. What I'm saying is, you can't criticize anybody, or you can tactfully suggest. You know, people say I can't go out there and protest. Fine, write letters, send money. There's all kinds of things
Right.
that you can do. And so
I still
so
sent a
what you
letter to
find-
Van Drew, even though I know he's not going to listen to me.
No,
But,
you know what? But that letter is very important. Jeff Van Drew, who, for anybody who doesn't know him, is Brian's congressman. He's also my number one target. If I could take somebody out, not because he's the most powerful, he's just an abhorrent human being. But he has to know that. People have to tell him that. You know, and again, we are the thing we saved for last, and it's forgetful. You know, right now we're in a government shutdown. Shut down today.
it did? I thought they got a partial.
Quiet shutdown. What it is they were able, Senate was able to hold, and what they're trying to do, and I guess they're going to be able to succeed, is pull ICE and Homeland Security out of the budget,
Right.
and try for a separate on that. Doesn't mean win. And it was funny because just the things you look at, National Archives was the first group to respond today, and they said, "We're sorry, you know, you can normally get records from us, but we can't guarantee during this shutdown." And just real quick for the people, shutdown is not a complete shutdown. It never is. Okay, so the shutdown, just so everybody gets this clear, has nothing to do with ICE's operation. Open or closed, ICE will go on. So the importance of this, though, is to do just what happened, is to get a light solely on them. Make the senators, make the congressmen, House of Representatives say, yeah, I want ICE. Because I think once they go on record for that, they better hope that they're really popular at home, because it ain't a popular decision. And
All right,
I
Dave.
hope that 5-year-old gets out. And someday, I think, we will look at him. He was just there, but sometimes heroes are just there. And that's a hero. He didn't choose to be a hero, but he's a hero by circumstances. Good is another kind. She was there for good reason, but and then you've got Pretty, who died in a way that if you believe in heaven, he went directly to heaven.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank
What'd you do with Freddie? Where's the dog?
He's in the crate right there. There's his head.
Oh, you put him in a crate.
I had to. He's sleeping now, and that's good. He was getting nuts.
Well, let me talk to him. Hey, Freddie.
When he doesn't hear you, but it's sleepy time for him. When we get done the second here, I probably should take him out, but he's so.
It's Saturday
Toto.
night. He should be out partying. He should be out dog partying.
No, we got just plain ice everywhere. It's an ice rink out here for the last 2 weeks, so it's a pain in the ass for him, for me, and everybody else.
Real quick prediction. When will the ice melt in Bridgeton, New Jersey?
I would say it's going to take another week.
Here they're talking about March. Now I don't think so. But
well,
it's not going to move. It's not going to move for another week. So.
Right. All right. But at least we're not going to get snow tomorrow. I think that's
Yeah. That's kind of.
All right.
But Donald Trump will give us something more to think about tomorrow. So.
All right. So that's it, folks. We'll see you next week, probably on Saturday, unless something absolutely horrible happens, and that's certainly possible during the week. But we'll see you soon.
Or something ultimately good too.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that
Never know.
happens. You never know. All right. See you, folks.